Oh,
All right, Oleg, let's start by introducing our audience to yourself, a bit of your background, and also to People.ai.
absolutely. Thank you, Tramana. My name is Oleg Rogynskyy. I'm the CEO and the founder of People.ai. I've been doing startups for pretty much all my life. My previous company, Semantria, was also an AI company. We just started in 2011 and then sold in 2014. People.ai was started in 2016 when I moved out here to Silicon Valley, and I've been working on it ever since.
Where did you move from, Oleg?
Montreal. I'm originally Ukrainian, but I worked for one of the first AI companies called Einstein Technologies back in Montreal in 2006 through 2010, which we sold to OpenText, and our technology now is the OpenText AI. And I left that to start Semantria in 2011, and the rest is history.
And what was the premise of Semantria?
Semantria was the world's first sentiment analysis cloud API. You could send us any piece of text, like a tweet or a survey or a document, and within a second we would come back to you with, here is the sentiment in this text, here is the people, places, companies, categories, so all the metadata you would need to build a product on top of that tweet or whatever, or survey.
And whom did you sell that to?
I sold it to a company called Lexalytics, which was one of the...
Oh, yeah. We've covered Lexalytics. Yep. I'm very familiar with them.
Yeah, so they were one of the bigger players in the space, and they wanted to get into cloud game because they were on-premise at the time. And we were the cloud solution that they're still doing a significant portion of their business on.
Very good. All right. Let's come to People.ai. When did you start People.ai, and what was your observation at the beginning of People.ai?
Absolutely. So People.ai was started in February 2016. So we just turned 5 years. Felt like one day. And the initial observation of why I wanted to start a company actually came throughout my history, of employment history. I remember, I'll never forget the day when back in Montreal in 2007, I was at Einstein. Our chief operating officer grounded me and the whole sales team for a week to clean Salesforce. And we literally spent a week in a conference room without windows, Googling companies and people and updating them in our Salesforce. Clean Salesforce state lasted for about 3 weeks, and then after that it was back to being a mess. So that was the first kind of learning of, hey, there's a problem here. Then during Semantria days, one of the business lines we were doing was e-discovery, where we were using our AI and graph engine to understand for our customers massive amounts of email at scale to help find the bad guys. And so that's where I learned the power of natural language processing as applied to email and calendar data at large scale. And then when I sold Semantria, I actually worked for a company that you might be very familiar with, Sharmana, called H2O.ai.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I was running sales and marketing for H2O for a bit, and I learned, H2O products are spectacular from data science perspective, and that's where I learned all the modern techniques of doing machine learning at significant scale. And so combine that with me understanding that there's a big problem with Salesforce data and companies are flying blind. Combine that with understanding that there is a lot of really interesting nuggets and insights hidden in every company's email, calendar, phone, Zoom activity data. And with modern technology from H2O, I knew kind of if I put it all together, there'll be a big business here.
And what problem did you decide to go after with all these technology understanding?
Initially, the problem we went after was we were observing that most of the sales leaders at the time didn't really know what their teams were doing and didn't know how to coach their teams, their sales teams, to better performance and productivity without any data or guidance from us. So it was all kind of based on hunch and trust and not on data and knowledge. And so the initial product, which we did in Y Combinator, while we were in Y Combinator in summer 2016, basically was collecting all of the activity data, telemetry of your sales team, your email, calendar, phone, WebEx, Zoom, all the conversations they were having with their clients, and then turning that data into coaching recommendations of what a sales manager should be doing to coaching their team to increase kind of sales productivity at scale. So we started with the sales teams, but since then we figured out that the exactly same approach of kind of using the activity data to inspect what's going on, using it then to benchmark what do top performers do versus bottom performers, and then coach bottom performers to be more like top performers, is applicable not just in sales but in other areas of business.
Very interesting. So let's step through a few rungs of the ladder of how you achieve what you're achieving. First and foremost, data. So what data are you analyzing, and give me some examples of the kinds of heuristics you are picking out of that data based on which you're modeling the AI.
Yeah, absolutely. So first and foremost, the data we are collecting is pretty much every activity data source within your go-to-market. So your salespeople are talking to a client via email, so we collect that, via calendar, via Zoom, via phone. So any touch point that happens with a customer has a digital footprint, we collect that.
And that's you're collecting that off of the CRM system?
No, we collect it directly from your email system, from your calendar system, from your Zoom, etc. Because your CRM typically will not have all the data, while we need to have fully comprehensive data set to make our conclusions and heuristics.
I see. Got it. Okay. So there's an agent sitting on every desktop or every phone and picking up of all of this data.
No, all of these systems, all the modern activity systems have centralized APIs. So we are just plugged into your centralized email firehose API, into your calendar firehose, into your Zoom firehose, etc.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
But then next thing we do, which is really, really important, is we classify, using machine learning, this data into what's relevant to your business versus what's personal. Turns out up to 20% of activity of the sales teams, of the salespeople in their work email, for example, has nothing to do with the work. And because of that, you end up seeing doctor appointments, vacation planning, communications with significant others in the inflow data, and you need to filter that out. Second thing we do then, and this is where real AI comes in, we actually need to understand why every activity is happening. So this phone call with Sramana, with you and me, is Sramana recruiting Oleg, or the other way? Is Sramana investing in People.ai? Is Sramana interviewing Oleg, or is Sramana looking to buy People.ai product? So understanding the context of every communication, the reason why it happened, is required for us to attach this communication to the right place in the right system of records, such as opportunity in your Salesforce, or a candidate in your ATS system. So basically, we built an AI system that understands the nature of every activity and why it happened, so that it can be attached to the right place.
I see. So the filing, which has always been a big problem with CRM in particular, that the salespeople don't like to log their communication, you're automating that.
Yes, absolutely, with superhuman precision. And then on top of that, the third thing we do, turns out the most predictive feature of activity data, of what that predicts success of this activity to lead to deal closing or some other outcome, is actually whether you had the right people engaged with you on that activity. Did you have the buyers engaged? Were the right people on your end engaged, etc.? So third thing we do with every activity in real time is persona enrichment, where we understand who were the personas on this meeting. Were they supposed to be here? what kind of signal having a CEO on a early stage call about this deal mean for us, probably means that they're very excited and they're leaning in. It's like, you get the point, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I completely understand how you're doing what you're doing now. Now, so is from your beginning was in the context of more sales and marketing, is that still the case, or have you broadened to other activities?
We are focused on all go-to-market functions now: sales,
Go-to-market
marketing,
functions,
customer success, support, services, etc.
Got it.
And it's actually almost 50% of every organization is go-to-market employees, which gives us a massive TAM from this perspective.
Oh yeah, it's massive, no question about it. It's massive. And have you done ROI analysis of once an organization brings you in, what kind of impact are you seeing?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, there is a company that everybody talks about that has helped us do this ROI analysis. They're called Zoom. And we've done a controlled experiment there where we launched People.ai on a subset of their sellers.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, within 1 quarter, and this is before the pandemic and before the Zoom bloom, so this is actually a pretty controlled experiment, we have seen improvements of from 25 to 50% increase in revenue per salesperson.
I see.
Depending on the segment from using People.ai software. Now, Shramana, if I come to any company and say, hey, deploy this software, you'll see 50% increase in revenue per salesperson, what are they going to say, right?
Well, it should reflect in your revenue numbers what they say.
Yes. So that's actually a good question. We use the software internally, and they're running one of the most efficient sales teams on the planet from that perspective, just by dog fooding.
Yeah. And is your customer base in any particular vertical? I imagine tech sales go-to-market is one of the ones where you're seeing early adoption.
Yeah, we've seen early adoption in tech. We have one of the 3 largest telecom companies using us. We have 2 of the 5 largest manufacturing companies using us. So telecom, manufacturing, hardware, software, business services are all verticals that are very excited about People.ai.
Very good. Okay, and I'm going to ask you some questions about your, process of building this company up to this point. You've been around for about 5 years, you said, right? This is 5th year. And you're doing this out of what geography? No longer in Montreal, right?
Yeah, I'm in Menlo Park right now.
You're in Menlo Park. Oh, I'm in Menlo Park too. What part of Menlo Park are you in?
I used to live near downtown, and now I'm in Middlefield and March, so like near Atherton.
I see. Okay, terrific. I'm in West Menlo Park, by the way, right off Sand Hill Road in the Allied Arts kind of area.
Yeah.
So what you are doing, obviously, to build your models, to train your models at the very beginning, you needed access to data. It's something that we were talking about before we started this conversation is you cannot really build machine learning models without data. And one of the problems both you and I faced earlier on in our careers when we tried to build AI companies is that the data was immature and not as abundant. Today there is abundant data, and which makes AI possible and scalable, which is terrific. However, at the beginning of an entrepreneur's journey, accessing that data, that customer data, is always a problem for AI entrepreneurs. How did you address this problem?
Yes, I call this problem the cold start problem. How do you cold start the
exactly.
We got lucky in a sense that the system that we built has very clear network effect in it, that the more customers use it, the better, the more value it produces for every customer.
Yeah.
And we were able to articulate it very openly. And so the first several customers were actually excited about this customer co-op where the AI is trained across everybody's data set, so that obviously with privacy restrictions, confidentiality restrictions, like we never share any confidential data, but we found a set of customers early on who were excited to cooperate to get the engine jump started. And then once it was there, like now companies are joining People.ai customer set because the AI is trained across a much larger data set.
Right. Now, let's double click down into this. I'm very much in tune with what you're saying here. So in your case, the buyer is what, the VP of sales, the VP of marketing, the CEO? Who is making the buying decision?
Chief Revenue Officer or Chief Marketing Officer. Most likely Chief Revenue Officer.
Okay. And so you basically recruited a set of Chief Revenue Officers in your customer council to build the first version of the AI?
Yeah, so I basically told them, hey, look, we will collect everybody's data, obviously anonymized and aggregated, and the insights we're going to come back with will be guidance on how to best manage your sales teams to increase their performance based on the collective wisdom of 50 best CROs, 100 best CROs, etc. And that was a good enough pitch that they said, sure, let's do this. And we actually delivered, and then it started working better. And the more customers we have, the more noticeably actionable insights and results they were getting. So it created a flywheel.
And how did you get to these CROs?
I started in sales myself. So I was first 3 months of doing 20, 30 outreach and meetings per day, and getting in front of them through whatever means possible.
A lot of LinkedIn.
I mean, it was LinkedIn, but also like introductions, going through the network. Or, yeah. I mean, I'll never forget a moment where I called this sales leader, and he's like, well, the only time I can meet with you is if you are at the San Carlos Farmers Market tomorrow morning. I'll be there with my wife and kids. So I literally went down to San Carlos to meet with someone while they were shopping for their groceries at the farmers market.
Very nice.
So
okay, I got it.
Whatever it took, I got them.
How many were you able to get to start building out your model?
So that's what made us very successful graduating from Y Combinator. We managed to get from 0 to about 100 POC customers in the first 90 days, basically in the time we were in YC. Mm-hmm. And so that was the magic number where we got 100 companies on the platform at the demo day.
And when you went into Y Combinator, were you just at a concept stage?
Yeah, we actually had a completely different idea. So we not only managed to sell to sell the product, we also managed to build it while doing this.
Okay. So your Y Combinator application was based on a different idea, not this idea.
So the data platform would be similar, but the use case would be different.
I see.
We were basically going to build a system that scores how good the salesperson is based on their activity, so you can use it in hiring.
I see.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very good. So you managed to pivot that, and then the pivot was based on what, customer conversations? Yes,
customers were saying, hey, this kind of sounds cute. You were trying to score my salespeople, but can you just tell me what they're doing in the first place? And what I need to do to make them better? I
see. So you followed the customer immersion process using that original hypothesis, and then pivoted based on the conversations you had, and learned what the customers were really looking for, and then spun it differently. Got it.
Exactly.
Fabulous. All right. What else have you done in building this company to this point where you have done something innovative, original, that you think we should discuss in this conversation?
Well, it's been almost 6 years of building interesting and innovative things. So after we graduated from YC, we started building, and we initially were focused on anybody who would sign up, but that doesn't fly, as you know. So we ended up finding our first big customer about a year after, about 6 months after YC, which was Palo Alto Networks, which showed us how important the enterprise compatibility and features and security and all that stuff is. And so we started working with Palo Alto Networks and have become very successful there on the enterprise side. But that taught us that to train our AI, going through larger companies, on one hand, is harder because you have to do more work to get in. But then on the other hand, Palo Alto Networks is more valuable from AI training perspective than 1,000 small companies.
Right.
And so in terms of scaling your AI, working with large companies was the path. So that was a huge insight for us, and we focused on large enterprises for all the time since. So that was great. Then other pieces we found, another one that was really interesting for us is you obviously need to have as tight of use case coverage as you can. You cannot just be training AI for something. You have to be solving a specific problem. And so what was really helpful is discovering that methodologies like MEDDIC or value selling in sales are actually helping us decrease the aperture of what we need to train the AI for and what kind of outcomes people are looking for if we align to the methodology. So kind of absolute focus and keeping on refining your focus to more and more precise and like limited things you're trying to do, like basically doing less things better versus many things was the big driver for us in terms of that. And lastly, the big invention that kind of jump-started and made our business very defensible, besides matching technology, which I talked about already, was what we call people graph. Turns out understanding who is in this activity and why are they here is probably the most key piece of information you can have in our business. So we actually started building our own graph of persona information to understand who are the people, where have they been before, what are they like, what are they focused on, and so on under the hood, which allowed us to have a first-party data platform that tells us kind of all the persona insights, which is very unique in the industry.
Interesting. I did a story some time ago on a company called Discover.org that were mapping out the org charts inside of organizations to sell to sales organizations, and they've since been acquired by ZoomInfo. As you're talking, I'm thinking that kind of data layered onto what you're doing would be very valuable. Is that on your radar?
We actually acquired a company called ClosePlan that was doing org charts across that allows companies to build org charts for their prospects inside their Salesforce, which is kind of a much newer version of Discover.org. And to be honest, we've seen Discover.org mostly disappear off the radar since they went public, because prior to going public, they were using basically LinkedIn scraping to power their data set, and that's gray area today based on all the lawsuits. While I guess since they're public, they can't really do that anymore. While in our case, we make org charts collaborative. So there is 100,000 salespeople collaborating with each other on org charts within their Salesforce, and we are the company in between that basically makes everybody's org charts build out automatically without having to scrape LinkedIn or anything. And we found basically a better way to do that.
And is that proprietary? If one organization which has a large number of salespeople are building out the org charts for themselves, do you take that knowledge and let other people use that, or is that something that the salespeople from that company keeps control of?
I mean, they have control. They can keep it to themselves, but then they will not get other org charts built by someone else, or they can share theirs and get everybody else's.
I see. I see. And you're learning that people are more interested in collaborating than being proprietary.
We have 150 large enterprises on the platform today who are all collaborating.
Okay, got it. Very interesting. Super interesting. I love what you're doing. I think it's a great time to do something like this because of all the abundance of data, and it sounds like you did a very good job of, as you call it, cold starting the data leverage process. So congratulations. Fantastic. Now, last question before we close. What are some open problems from your vantage point with your skill set, your knowledge, your experience? If you were starting a new company in the AI domain today, what problem, what open problem, what white space would you go after? And the point of view from which I'm asking you this question is other entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs who are reading this interview or listening to this interview and wondering what problems should they go solve?
Yeah. I think it all comes back together to activity data. And let me explain to you why I think that way. Basically, to build an AI model of doing something better, you need to have a pretty high resolution description of how it's been done before and whether it worked or not. Therefore, collecting activity data of players of specific markets, be it salespeople or wealth managers or self-driving or cars or airplanes or whatever, basically collecting all telemetry to train machine learning models is basically the path. In fact, I don't believe it is possible to build a large company anymore just based on better machine learning algorithms. You can only build a large company these days by having a proprietary data set that nobody else has access to. And so if I were to advise the young entrepreneurs on to where to start companies, I would say identify an area of human activity where there is no massive public company yet optimizing that activity for better outcomes for humans. Find a way to collect a proprietary data set of humans in that domain, be it how people take loans, how people buy airplane tickets, how people sell. I mean, don't do the how people sell. And then basically build a company that collects activity and then optimizes, learns from the activity and optimizes behavior for better outcomes in that domain. There is a lot of white space there. Yeah,
great. Fantastic. Oleg, I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, and I hope to keep in touch with you and learn more about how you are progressing and so on. Good luck with everything, and we'll very much look forward to doing the story.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it as well. Thank you so much. Nice meeting you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.